How good is ChatGPT, specifically GPT-4, as a way to improve your English? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to show you specifically how to train ChatGPT to become a very powerful, very precise tool to help you take your English to the next level. So let's get started. You may have seen some of my other videos on how to use ChatGPT to improve your English in different ways. How to write better emails, how to use it as a practice or study partner, learn vocabulary, right? All good stuff. You should check those out. But what if I want a highly precise level assessment? I want to know exactly where I am with my English, and I want to get then highly precise feedback on how I can get to the next level once I know where I am. That's a very important thing. That's why people take exams like TOEFL, for example. That's why people spend a lot of money to get a very clear idea of what my current level is so that I can make progress. Right. So how do I do this with ChatGPT? It's actually easier than you might think, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. All right, so here we are in ChatGPT, specifically GPT-4. Now, the key to getting really accurate results is to tell ChatGPT what the guidelines are. That is absolutely essential. If you just ask randomly, hey, what's my level based on this paragraph I wrote? It's just going to grab something and tell you, and it might be different each time. But if you teach it the guidelines first, make sure it understands, then give it something very different picture, all right? And that's kind of what you would expect, right? So first, and I will include everything in the description, first we have a prompt. Now we're going to be trying to teach it based on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, the CEFR. That is a very common standard, right? So we're going to say first, we're going to go over here and we're going to say, I want you to act as an English teacher and professional English level assessor based on CEFR. That is not enough though. I tried it, I tested it. If you just ask it to do that, it doesn't really do it. First, learn the following CEFR guidelines for assessing English fluency. If you understand, say, usually you say, I understand, but I like to have fun with it. Say, Cattywambus, here are the guidelines. Now, you can just go to the website of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, and you can literally just copy and paste it from the website. Here are the guidelines. Then I paste it in, right? I paste it in. That's the whole thing. The whole thing, all right? So if it understands, then it should say Cattywambus. Let's see what we get. Cattywambus. All right, success. Now what we need to do is we need to give it a specific task. We're not even giving it any English really yet to evaluate. We're going to give it the task that we want it to do. So the task is, I want you to use the guidelines, okay? I want you to use the guidelines to assess my English. Give an accurate level assessment and a full breakdown of the basis for your assessment. Next, give me specific suggestions for how I can improve, and be sure to cite specific examples based on what I said. This is what I want you to assess. Now, this wording is very specific, so I'm going to include these prompts for you to use, but it's important to do things in the right order. I want to get the assessment first, then. So you can use then, you can use next to make sure that things are not mixed up and kind of jumbled. It has to be fairly clear. Now, again, the reason we do it like this is because first we need it to know what we want it to judge us based on. And it can do that, right? We don't want it to be random. We want it to be stable. Then we tell it what we want it to do with that information. Okay, we want to get a level assessment. So I want to get a score. I want to be either C1 or A2 or whatever. Then I want feedback. Okay. And you can ask follow-up questions. Of course, it's always a back and forth with ChatGPT. That's the thing I like about it. So first, I want to show it a high-level example. And the reason I want to do that is not for any training reason. So you don't have to do this. I want to show you the accuracy, right? As I said, I've done a lot of testing to figure out how to precisely get the right results. I want to show you that if I give it a high-level example, it gives an answer like we want C1 or C2. So if we see C1 or C2, then we'll know that it's pretty well calibrated. Then I'm going to give it a lower level example. Now, how do you actually do this? This is the next step in the process. If you want to evaluate your writing, just put what you write directly in there. Maybe it's an essay, maybe it's a few paragraphs, whatever it is. But if you want to evaluate your speaking, all you have to do is record yourself in any app that does speech-to-text transcription. I like to use Otter. That's a good one. You can, and I've made videos on Otter before. Feel free to check those out. You speak on a prompt. You answer a question, usually, for a minute or two, and it writes down everything that you say. You can use Otter, you can use anyone. You can use often the built-in one that comes with your phone, either Google or Apple. They have a built-in speech to text that you can use as well. Not always as accurate, but I guess it's always improving. So when I hit enter here, what I want to see is hopefully C1 or C2. Let's see what we get. Based on the text provided, I would assess your English level as C1, according to the CEFR guidelines. Here's a breakdown of the assessment. Range. You demonstrate a broad range of vocabulary and you're able to express yourself clearly on various topics, such as personal development, professional advancement, and the benefits of language learning. Then we get an accuracy breakdown. Your grammatical accuracy is consistently high with no noticeable errors. Fluency. You express yourself fluently and spontaneously with a natural flow of language. Coherent. Your text is well structured and coherent with controlled use of organizational patterns and cohesive devices. Now we go to feedback. To further improve your English, consider focusing on the following areas: idioms and colloquialisms, varied sentence structure, advanced vocabulary. So it's giving us tips and suggestions that we would use if we really don't need that much help, but want to take our fluency to the next level. So even for very high level English, you're getting something useful. Now, what we really want is something that's not perfect. That's basically a perfect example that I showed it. I want you to give me another assessment on the following. Okay? And you could try just pasting it in. I like to just have a basic instruction saying, basically, I want the same thing. Okay? Now we paste in you can see all of the different errors in here, spelling issues. There are all kinds of grammar issues, odd phrasing. So what we're looking for here is probably something like maybe A2. This is about an A2, A1, A2. Let's see what we get. Based on the text provided, I would assess your English level as A2 according to the CEFR guidelines. Here's a breakdown of the assessment. Range. Use basic sentence patterns and simple phrases to communicate limited information. Accuracy. You make several basic grammatical mistakes. Fluency. You're able to convey ideas, but there are evident pauses, false starts. I don't know how it's getting that from text, but okay, fair enough. Coherence. You can link groups of words with simple connectors like and so. Okay, so a lot of things I'm doing wrong, so I have a breakdown. Now I can improve my English with grammar. Study English grammar rules and practice using correct verb tense, subject-verb agreement, and sentence structures. For example, instead of language learn is good for people many ways, write language learning is good for people in many ways. So it's giving me a specific example as I asked it to do. Spelling. Okay, that's a big one. Work on improving your spelling by using spell check tools, flashcards, or vocabulary lists. Okay, so it's giving me an example there. Vocabulary, expand your vocabulary. Sentence structure, practice writing and speaking in complete sentences. So it's giving me all of this feedback to say, these are areas where you are weak. This is why I gave you, what was it, A1 or A2? A2, right? A2. This is why I gave you A2. This is what you would need to work on in order to get to the next level. So this is really powerful stuff. So use the prompts. Make sure you use the framework. You have to teach ChatGPT, and GPT-4 is more accurate, I've found, than GPT 3.5, but use the prompts and use the framework to train it, then give it the sample. Again, if you want to do a spoken sample, do speech to text, paste it in, get feedback, and then see if you can improve. That way you're constantly measuring your progress. If you can get from A2 up to the B level, B1, B2, right? And then eventually into C, you can track your progress over time and continually get feedback. And by the way, well, GPT-4 is not free, but if you're doing this with GPT 3.5 in ChatGPT, the free version, this is free to do. So try it out. Let me know how it goes for you. If you can come up with other variations on the prompts and those work for you, please share those as well in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions on these. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. That's a great way to support the channel. And you can get a free course, Natural English Conversations, that is also in the links in the description. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.